Hi, hello, and welcome or welcome back. I suppose this week we are taking it a little bit more highbrow, certainly today, and from what I've started reading with the video for Thursday, then it seems like that's going to be a bit more highbrow. Anyways, also, yes, I finally got a pop filter. Is it one design just for a karaoke mic? Yes, but from my little tests, it seems to be working. Also, we can deal with the fact if there was any glare on my glasses, I'd usually start again, but I can't be bothered. I don't even know if there is glare on my glasses anymore. That used to be a problem when I had my ring light. Maybe I should test it again because it is nice being able to see, but who needs it? So, let's get onto the video. We will have a little bit of preamble before the actual review, but I'm not going to keep you waiting for an intro screen, so let's get on with it. So towards the end of summer last year, I borrowed like a boatload of books from my friend, I think like 15 to 20, and I was told that I had time to read them. They work outside the country, so they've said, listen, I need to pack my books away. It will be great if some of them are not here, so it's lighter to take them upstairs. So I've taken a few off their hands for the time being. But I was still meant to have started reading these books much sooner. I was meant to have started them maybe a few weeks after I actually started borrowing them. After I borrowed them. You know what I mean. And I had it planned out, but then I had the Iron Maiden video coming up, and I was like, oh no, I have so much to read, so I had to rejig my plan, because I say I read all of them in the month. I actually read a couple of them in October. I know I did Brave New World and Lord of the Flies in October, and I'm pretty sure there were a couple of others as well, ones that I had on Barrow Box that I couldn't renew. Anyway, not the point of this. The point being, I had to rejig my schedule. So, this week, I'm starting with the books that I was going to start with last time. I think I had them in the same week in my schedule last time as well. After this, you will be seeing them peppered here and there. But I thought I'd do a big block run this week, just as a kind of Kickstarter. Look, my schedule is messy in terms of how I wanted it to go, but I'm figuring it out. Oh, also, in terms of this bad boy, the pop filter. The big video at the end of the month, I'm pretty sure it's a long video, like somewhere around the 45-minute mark, I think. That won't have the filter, and therefore obviously the sound quality won't be as good, but I did batch filming, so while it came out later, I had it scheduled for the end of the month, because that's when videos like that are going to be coming out. You will see. I think that shot looks pretty much the same. Yeah, and they're like within this collection from my friend. Yeah, no, I was talking about my schedule, right? So obviously I've got a mix of stuff from my shelf, stuff that I've got from the library, because I've got a huge load of stuff from the library, and I've got my stuff from Jamie, and then I have other projects that I want to do that I will have to read for, but during the time that I'm going to be reading for that, I'm probably just going to be reading for myself, but I will figure that out when I get there. But what was a pretty standard motif in the collection that I have from my friend is translated literary fiction. Now, I have a smooth brain. It's not that I am not good with literary fiction, though I've discussed that I have some issues with it in the whole, but It's not to do with if something is actually an intellectual piece of literature. It's to do with not patronizing. I can't think of the word, but when something is a bit like full of itself just because it is highbrow or whatever. But I generally see that my friend wouldn't be reading that kind of literary fiction anyway, so we'll see how that goes. But, like I said, I have a smooth brain, so I have to focus on this. Now, not down to my smooth brainness, down to my ADHD-ness, properly focusing on something is difficult. Properly focusing on something is difficult, but I just take that as sometimes that means I have to spend a bit more time on something. It is what it is. But let's move past this fucking preamble that's about 3 hours long and actually get into talking about the book we're supposed to be reviewing today. I looked up how to say the author's name and one of the translators. One of the translators is British, I think, but or at least it's a British name, but it's like one of those ones where it doesn't sound anything like how it looks. And, you know, we have Americans complaining about how Worcestershire or whatever, like any of that's weird. You see this and tell me. But anyway, I will put it on screen. All of the names, one of them is pretty simple, but, you know, again, I looked it up. I will only be saying the names once, and then I will leave it at that because I'm not messing it up. I don't know why singing has become part of my brain while I'm filming, but apparently this is the point of time I'm in. I was going to say the era I'm in, and I am sick of the word era at the minute, so today we're looking at The Day of the Owl by Leonardo Sciascia, and again, apologies for mispronunciations, and the version I have is translated by Arthur Oliver and Archibald Cahoon. As I was saying with a lot of literary fiction, especially translated literary fiction, and I only say especially translated fiction because there are often things that don't quite work right. Now, this one being European means that it tends to work a little bit better. There is generally, while there are obviously still cultural differences, it's not so far removed. The books that I'm reading for Thursday are Japanese, so there's generally going to be more separation, so making translation harder. But with this book, I did have to focus a whole lot more than I perhaps usually would have to. And that's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, it's just something to point out. And like, you can see this is wrong way around, probably easier if you can see the pages. You can see that it's a short book, but it certainly feels longer than that, and I don't by any means suggest that it dragged. I just mean that because of the time that I had to spend on it, it did feel longer. There is a lot packed into, if I remember rightly, about 120 pages. There's a whole lot going on. You know, it's a political drama. It's about the Sicilian Mafia. Therefore, there's a lot of intricate detail that you kind of have to look at and try and unpick for yourself, as well as watching the characters do that as well. Why? My brain just turned off for a second there. Why does it only do this when I'm filming? It doesn't do it when I'm scripting. It barely does it when I'm reading. But as soon as I turn the fucking camera on, my brain goes, see you later, babes. You're on your own. So, you know, a book this length would usually maybe take me a day or two, but this took me, I think, 3 days or 4 days to read. So, it's just something to bear in mind. And obviously, if you are a generally fast reader, no matter what the book, then that'll be fine. It will take you the usual amount of time for you. But if you're someone like me, who with certain types of fiction, or not just certain types of fiction, certain types of literature in general, some things you can read really quickly and other things you have to take your time with, this may not reflect your usual reading speed. But I was really happy to take my time with this. As I said, there's an intricate web that you're kind of picking apart, and being able to take some time with this allows you to absorb it a lot more. I think if I tried to rush this, if I forced myself to read it really quickly, I'd end up in a situation like I did with, not necessarily like The Jewel, more like I did with Moonchild, where I really tried to read that book, but it wasn't going in, but I could sort of pick up bits and pieces, and I'm just going, I could enjoy this, but I'm not doing because I'm having to read it too quickly. I think I would have had that with this, but instead, rather than it falling out of my mind as soon as I put it down, I was able to gobble up every last little morsel of it, and it was delectable. It was like tapas, rather than huge portions devoured in one go. It was just a little delicious, a little bit at a time. Now, I think the shining moments of this book I think the shining moments of this book are the interrogations and interviews, the little tricks and piss, the little tactics and tricks that the detectives are using to make people talk. And, they're really subtle. It's not any kind of, just beat him up and it'll be fine, which I kind of half expected. It's subtle interrogation that just gets people to spill their guts. There's this one scene where they're in separate rooms, but there are two people being interrogated at the same time. And even though they can't see or really hear each other, they're still in a way being played off each other, and it works really nicely. And there are a few scenes like that. There's one scene where there's this one old guy being interviewed, one of the higher ups in the Mafia, and he's not for talking, but he's just giving little bits throughout without meaning to, just because of the way he's being interviewed, and it works so nicely. I really like stuff like that. I like subtle storytelling with crime fiction and political fiction, because I am thinking of that bit from Darth Marenghi's Dark Place, with the, I've seen authors who use subtlety and they're fucking cowards. Is that the right phrase? Is that the right quote? You know the one that I'm talking about. I'll find it and I'll put it in here. The thing with this book, it is really slow, but tactically so, because it is a ripple effect from this one single moment, and it ebbs out. So obviously it's going to slow down, but you're still getting to that point. You're still reaching where you need to, and it works. Like I say, it just works really nicely. It all fits, and it's satisfying. Because I've mentioned that when talking about crime fiction before. Is there a cat in here? Oh, hello. There is a tiny cat asleep on the floor behind me. A little Lily. A gorgeous girl. With crime fiction, and I would say political fiction as well, there's a kind of feeling of you want things to fall into place and fit together, and you want to see how it all works. And this gives you that. In certain crime fiction, it's about getting the one guy, but this is sort of broader than that. Like I mentioned before, it's that intricate web. Everything's interwoven, and just watching it slowly be picked apart, satisfying. Works really nicely. And my tummy is rumbling, so I need to get some food. So I'm gonna be done here soon. And while this isn't something I have really read much like before, and I'll be honest, I'm not likely to be you know, seeking fiction like this in the future. It feels like one of those things where it's like, this feels good to broaden my horizons. I enjoyed this. But if I'm going to be seeking out stories about Mafia, I'm probably just going to be seeking out non-fiction in the future. Next week, we have a little trio of books on Thursday. Well, we also have a trio of books this coming Thursday. Again, because I've mentioned that, from my friend's collection. And then we don't have a Tuesday video, but we do have a Thursday video because there are 3 relatively big books that, well, 2 of the books are like not small. I wanted to give myself some time. Whereas the 3 that I'm reading for this Thursday, like, they're all much of a muchness. Like, they're all about the same size as this. I think I've read 1 of the 3 by now, and I'm recording this on Friday. So I have 2 more to read. I'm starting 1 today. I can read them all within a couple of days. Maybe the last one will take me a bit longer because it's non-fiction. Let me know if you've read anything like this. If you do have anything that you could recommend to me, if this is your bag. If not, recommend me something else that you want to see. I've said it before, if there are any books that you've gone, look, this looks interesting, but because of where it's been recommended from, I'm not sure how good it would be, let me know. I will give it a gander. I'm always interested. I am, though, you know, don't expect to see it straight away. My schedule is full. Well, it's actually down as full until February, but I'm already seeing that I'm going to be going a bit further than that because I still have library books that I haven't put in. Obviously, I've got some of Jamie's books, but I can pepper them in here, there, and everywhere. And I want to read more for myself, and I have projects, and it's all like, I have so much. Why do I do this to myself? I'm not even getting paid. Anyway, like I say, let me know if there's anything you want to see me read down below in the comments. I hope you have had a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful whenever you are watching this. Take good care of yourselves. Right.